Hello everybody, welcome to the ICSR series, the most demanded and awaited video for all the freshers and experienced people who are looking to improve their knowledge and trying to crack the interviews. I have received numerous requests from so many candidates and I have put in all the efforts to make it as simple as possible and easy to understand the concepts. The ICSR case processing is very important, which makes the foundation and also the entry point in the drug safety and pharmacovigilance domain. If you understand and master this process very well, you will be able to advance and shape your career into aggregate reporting and so on. The ICSR case processing provides great potential and immense opportunities for freshers to start their career because most of the big pharmaceutical companies and biotech companies generally outsource this activity as these projects usually require huge resources to deal with large volumes of work. And also, many organizations have to deal with the challenges of quality and productivity, mainly due to the lack of proper training and concepts being not clear. So let's see in detail what is pharmacovigilance, definitions and terminologies used, and where do we get the data, how it is collected, documented, processed and then reported to the regulatory authorities. What are the tools and the safety databases used? As many of you already know by now, my main focus is always on the practical aspects rather than just learning some theory part. My intention is to give you tons of information on all my videos. I think that I have covered a lot of important topics on my videos, which I feel is more than sufficient for you to ace the interviews. Please watch all my videos till the end to get a proper and thorough understanding and comment if you come across any questions. Also, at the end of each video, I have included a small mock interview session where I will be asking you the questions and you can try to answer, which will help you practice your flow and improve your speaking skills. One more very important thing, if you are still in college or pursuing any of the streams in medicine, dentistry, pharmacy, PhD or any other life sciences degree and not sure of practicing and would like to know more about the career path and options in the pharma industry and you are in need of guidance, you can ask your college authorities or the concerned person to contact us by email or send an invite for a session to talk on pharmacovigilance and clinical research and the opportunities in the industry. Of course, the session will be entirely free and I will be happy to see you all and talk about in length about pharmacovigilance and clinical research. I hope you will enjoy all my videos. Welcome to the second part of the ICSR series. I had covered the US FDA drug development process and phases of clinical trials in my previous video. Here we will be looking at all the definitions and terminologies which we commonly use in the organization. It is very important to have a thorough understanding of all these technical terms and concepts must be very clear, as this will not only help you crack the interviews but also we keep using these terms frequently at our workplace or at an organizational level. I have referred quite a number of documents to give you all authentic and correct information, and it takes a lot of time and efforts to put all the information together. I highly appreciate if you can give a like to this video and subscribe so that you can watch all my upcoming videos. It will also motivate me to make more videos like these. I have referred to the guideline on good pharmacovigilance practices, that is GVP Module VI, which includes collection, management and submission of reports of suspected adverse reactions to medicinal products, final GVP Annex 1, which contains all the definitions used in the pharmacovigilance. I have also referred to some definitions from the World Health Organization website and also National Library of Medicine and National Institute of Health. I was not able to get all the definitions and terms and terminologies in one website, so I had to look for various sources and I have put all the content together. Introduction. It is important to harmonize the way to gather and, if necessary, to take action on important clinical safety information arising during clinical development. Thus, agreed definitions and terminology as well as procedures will ensure uniform good clinical practice standards in this area. The initiatives already undertaken for marketed medicines through the COMS 1 and COMS 2 working groups on expedited reports and periodic safety update reporting respectively are important precedents and models. However, there are special circumstances involving medicinal products under development, especially in the early stages and before any marketing experience is available. Conversely, it must be recognized that a medicinal product will be under various stages of development or marketing in different countries, and safety data from marketing experience will ordinarily be of interest to regulators in countries where the medicinal product is still under investigational, only phase 1, phase 2 or phase 3 status. For this reason, it is both practical and well advised to regard pre-marketing and post-marketing clinical safety reporting concepts and practices as interdependent while recognizing that responsibility for clinical safety within regulatory bodies and companies may reside with different departments depending on the status of the product, whether it is investigational or marketed. There are two issues within the broad subject of clinical safety data management that are appropriate for harmonization at this time. The development of standard definitions and terminology for key aspects of clinical safety reporting and the appropriate mechanism for handling expedited reporting in the investigational phase. The provisions of this guideline should be used in conjunction with other ICH good clinical practice guidelines. Basically, what they are trying to communicate is we need to have a harmonized way of working and we need to have agreed definitions for pre-marketing and post-marketing phases, and we need to have a common standard of working. Let's look at the terminologies one by one. First, we need to understand what is an active substance and what is excipient. Any substance or mixture of substances intended to be used in the manufacture of a medicinal product and that when used in its production becomes an active ingredient of the product intended to exert a pharmacological, immunological or metabolic action with a view to restoring, correcting or modifying physiological functions or to make a correct medical diagnosis. Excipient, any constituent of a medicinal product other than the active substance and the packaging material. For example, coloring matter, preservatives, adjuvant, stabilizers, thickeners, emulsifiers, flavoring and aromatic substances. One more thing I want to give an information. We also use something called as INN, that is International Non-Proprietary Name. The globally recognized name used to identify the active ingredient in a medicine is abbreviated as INN. In Europe we commonly use it, so I wanted to give this additional information. International non-proprietary names, that is INN, facilitates the identification of pharmaceutical substances or active pharmaceutical ingredients. Each INN is a unique name that is globally recognized and is public property. A non-proprietary name is also known as a generic name. The INN system is managed by the World Health Organization. If you want more information, you can definitely refer how it started, what is the history and everything. Just Google INN, you will get a lot of information about it. Now, a medicinal product. A medicinal product is characterized by any substance or combination of substances presented as having properties for treating or preventing disease in human beings, or which may be used in or administered to human beings either with a view of restoring, correcting or modifying physiological functions by exerting a pharmacological, immunological or metabolic action, or to making a medical diagnosis. These are just for your understanding. You don't need to by heart this, just to understand the concept. So what is pharmacovigilance? Usually asked in the interviews for freshers, and also they want to know whether you have done any homework before coming to the interviews. So according to the World Health Organization, the definition for pharmacovigilance or PV is defined as the science and activities relating to the detection, assessment, understanding and prevention of adverse effects or any other drug related problem. Apart from pharmacovigilance, we also have Cosmetovigilance and Materiovigilance. Let's see what is this Cosmetovigilance. This is a term used for the activities related to the collection, evaluation and monitoring of spontaneous reports of undesirable events observed during or after normal or reasonably foreseeable use of a cosmetic product. Recently, the spectrum of vigilance has broadened to include safety of herbal products and cosmetic products as well. Cosmetovigilance was introduced as a new term used for defining surveillance carried out by industry to address the safety of cosmetic products. It was first used in the literature by Vision in 1997 to refer to post-market surveillance carried out by the industry. So if you want more information, you can always Google and find out. This is just for your information that we also have Cosmetovigilance and Materiovigilance. Materiovigilance is the coordinated system of identification, collection, reporting and analysis of any untoward occurrences associated with the use of medical devices and protection of patients' health by preventing its recurrences. Materiovigilance basically refers to close monitoring of any undesirable occurrences resulting from the use of medical devices by means of having a system in place which comprises identifying, collecting, reporting and estimating undesirable occurrences and reacting to them, or safety corrective actions after their post-marketing phase. Drug Controller General India launched Materiovigilance Program of India, that is MVPI, at Indian Pharmacopoeia Commission, that is IPC, on July 6, 2015. The fundamental aim of this program is to monitor medical device associated adverse events, that is MDAE, to create awareness among healthcare professionals about the importance of MDAE reporting and generate independent credible evidence based safety data of medical devices and to share it with the stakeholders. You can find more information on NCBI, that is National Center of Biotechnology Information. This is just for your information. Just need to understand what is Materiovigilance, which deals with the untoward occurrences with the medical devices. Now, what are the basic terms? Definitions for the terms adverse event or adverse event experience or adverse experience, adverse reaction and unexpected adverse reaction have previously been agreed to by consensus of the more than 30 collaborating centers of the WHO, International Drug Monitoring Center, that is Uppsala, Sweden. Although those definitions can pertain to situations involving clinical investigations, some minor modifications are necessary, especially to accommodate the pre-approval development environment. The following definitions with input from the WHO Collaborative Center has been agreed. So we have common definitions across so many countries. So we will look at all these definitions one by one. So the first one is adverse event or adverse experience, commonly asked in the fresher interviews. Any untoward medical occurrence in a patient or clinical investigation subject administered a pharmaceutical product and which does not necessarily have to have a causal relationship with this treatment. Please note the term, this is causal. It is not a spelling mistake. Many people get confused saying that casual. This is causal, C-A-U-S-A-L, causal relationship with this treatment. So an adverse event can therefore be any unfavorable and unintended sign, including an abnormal laboratory finding, for example symptom or disease temporarily associated with the use of medicinal product, whether or not considered related to the medicinal product. So here, for example, if I take paracetamol and I slipped and fell. So now the question comes, because you took the drug, it caused dizziness and that made you fall, or it is entirely unrelated to the drug, that is called the causal relationship. It is this event, whether it happened because of the drug or not, that is called the adverse event. So it does not necessarily have the causal relationship. If it is because of the drug, then it is called as adverse drug reaction. So if it is positive, then only it will be adverse drug reaction. Otherwise, it will be just an event if it is not related to the product. Adverse drug reaction. In the pre-approval clinical experience with a new medicinal product or its new usages, particularly as the therapeutic dose may not be established. All noxious and unintended responses to a medicinal product related to any dose should be considered adverse drug reactions. The phrase responses to the medicinal product means that a causal relationship between a medicinal product and an adverse event is at least a reasonable possibility. That is, the relationship cannot be ruled out. Here, as I explained to you earlier, the relationship cannot be ruled out means it may be or may not be because of the product, but most of the time it is because of the product. Regarding marketed medicinal products, a well accepted definition of an adverse drug reaction in the post-marketing setting is found in the WHO technical report and read as follows. A response to a drug which is noxious and unintended and which occurs at doses normally used in man for prophylaxis, diagnosis or therapy of diseases or for modification of physiological function. The old term side effect has been used in various ways in the past, usually to describe negative unfavorable effects but also positive favorable effects. It is recommended that this term no longer be used and particularly should not be regarded as synonymous with adverse event or adverse reactions. So we don't use side effect as a synonym for adverse event or adverse drug reaction. Both are different. Suspected adverse reaction. Suspected adverse reaction means any adverse event for which there is a reasonable possibility that the drug caused the adverse event. For the purpose of IND safety reporting, reasonable possibility means there is evidence to suggest a causal relationship between the drug and the adverse event. Suspected adverse reaction implies a lesser degree of certainty about causality than adverse reaction, which means any adverse event caused by the drug. Unexpected adverse drug reaction. An adverse reaction, the nature or severity of which is not consistent with the applicable product information, that is investigator's brochure for an unapproved investigational medicinal product. So I have a slide about the investigator's brochure. So we will see in detail there. So we have suspected and now unexpected. Combining both the suspected and unexpected, we have SUSAR, suspected unexpected adverse drug reaction. So this is very important, usually asked in the interviews, whether you are a fresher or an experienced person. This is very commonly asked, what is a SUSAR and what are the reporting timelines. So a SUSAR is a serious adverse drug reaction whose nature or severity is unexpected based on the applicable product information. Any serious event that is not expected in accordance with the label, that is US package insert in the US, and SmPC, that is summary of product characteristics in the Europe, is considered an unexpected event. Importantly, if an event is listed in the label but occurs at a higher severity or with a worse outcome than the event listed in the label, is also considered unexpected. For investigational medicinal products, an unexpected adverse reaction is an adverse reaction, the nature or severity of which is not consistent with the applicable product information, for example IB, for an unauthorized investigational product, or the SmPC for an authorized product. We will be reporting SUSARs, and we will discuss in detail about the reporting time frame of serious adverse events and SUSAR in detail. I will be making a video on that. So we will discuss in detail how it is reported and what are the timelines. Serious adverse event or adverse drug reaction. During clinical investigations, adverse events may occur which, if suspected to be medicinal product related, that is adverse drug reactions, might be significant enough to lead to important changes in the way the medicinal product is developed. For example, change in the dose, population, needed monitoring, consent form, etc. This is particularly true for reactions which, in their most severe forms, threaten life or function. Such reactions should be reported promptly to the regulatory authorities. Therefore, special medical or administrative criteria are needed to define reactions that occur either due to their nature, that is serious, or due to the significant unexpected information they provide justify expedited reporting. To ensure no confusion or misunderstanding of the difference between the terms serious and severe, which are not synonymous, the following note of clarification is provided. The term severe is often used to describe the intensity of a specific event, as in mild, moderate, or severe myocardial infarction. The event itself, however, may be of relatively minor medical significance, such as severe headache. This is not the same as serious, which is based on patient or event outcome or action criteria, usually associated with events that pose a threat to a patient's life or functioning. Seriousness serves as a guide for defining regulatory reporting obligations. We will see in detail what is the seriousness criteria. After reviewing the various regulatory and other definitions in use or under discussion elsewhere, the following definition is believed to encompass the spirit and meaning of them all. A serious adverse event or experience or reaction is any untoward medical occurrence that at any dose either will result in death or is life-threatening, requires inpatient hospitalization or prolongation of existing hospitalization, results in persistent or significant disability or incapacity, or is a congenital anomaly or birth defect. Please note the term life-threatening in the definition of serious refers to an event in which the patient was at the risk of death at the time of event. It does not refer to an event which hypothetically might have caused death if it were more severe. So this is the criteria commonly asked in the interview: death, life-threatening, inpatient hospitalization, significant disability or incapacity, congenital anomaly or birth defect. Please remember these 5 criteria usually asked in the interview. Most of the time it is asked in the interview. Medical and scientific judgment should be exercised in deciding whether expedited reporting is appropriate in other situations, such as important medical events that may not be immediately life-threatening or result in death or hospitalization, but may jeopardize the patient or may require intervention to prevent one of the other outcomes listed in the definition above. These should also usually be considered serious. For example, such events are intensive treatment in an emergency room or at home for allergic bronchospasm, blood dyscrasis or convulsions that do not result in hospitalization or development of drug dependency or drug abuse. Now, expectedness of an adverse drug reaction. The purpose of expedited reporting is to make regulators, investigators, and other appropriate people aware of new important information on serious reactions. Therefore, such reporting will generally involve events previously unobserved or undocumented, and a guideline is needed on how to define an event as unexpected or expected. From the perspective of pharmacological properties of a medicinal product. As stated in the definition, an unexpected adverse reaction is one, the nature or severity of which is not consistent with information in the relevant source document. Until source documents are amended, expedited reporting is required for additional occurrence of the reaction. The following documents or circumstances will be used to determine whether an adverse event or reaction is expected. For a medicinal product not yet approved for marketing in a country, a company's investigator's brochure will serve as the source document in that country. Reports which add significant information on specificity or severity of a known, already documented serious adverse drug reaction constitute unexpected events. For example, an event more specific or more severe than described in the investigator's brochure would be considered unexpected. Specific examples would be acute renal failure as a labeled adverse drug reaction with a subsequent new report of interstitial nephritis and hepatitis with a first report of fulminant hepatitis. So whatever the document is you are referring, the event should be listed in the document. If it is investigator's brochure, it should be listed in the IB. If you are referring to SmPC or if you are referring to any other safety information, it should be listed. So expectedness is determined by seeing the document if it is mentioned or not. The same term should be mentioned. If any other term is mentioned, that will be considered as unexpected. Now let's see some common questions asked in the interview about overdose, off-label use, misuse. These questions are very common for freshers and experienced. Whenever you go for any interviews, these are the common questions which are used. Just to know whether you have processed any cases previously or not. So the overdose, this refers to the administration of a quantity of a medicinal product given per administration or cumulatively, which is above the maximum recommended dose according to the authorized product information. Clinical judgment should always be applied. So anything above maximum recommended dose is the overdose. Off-label use, this relates to situations where the medicinal product is intentionally used for a medical purpose, not in accordance with the terms of the marketing authorization. So for example, the document says paracetamol is intended only for fever. If you take it for headache, then it will be an off-label use. Whatever is not mentioned in accordance with the document, then it will be considered as off-label use. Misuse, this refers to situations where the medicinal product is intentionally and inappropriately used not in accordance with the terms of the marketing authorization. Misuse is the same as off-label but intentionally and inappropriately. So codeine or any morphine family drugs, or if it is taken which was not intended, then it is called misuse. So there is a difference between misuse and abuse. Please see the abuse definition. This corresponds to the persistent or sporadic, intentional, excessive use of a medicinal product which is accompanied by harmful physical or psychological effects. Very commonly used question, can you differentiate what is misuse and abuse? Here in the abuse, it is intentional excessive use of a medicinal product accompanied by harmful physical or psychological effects, mainly drugs which creates addiction. So occupational exposure, this refers to the exposure to a medicinal product as a result of one's professional or non-professional occupation. It does not include the exposure to one of the ingredients during the manufacturing process before the release as finished product. So this is also asked sometimes. Medication error, this is an unintended failure in the drug treatment process that leads to or has the potential to lead to the harm to the patient. There is an error in the prescription itself. So this is an unintended failure in the drug treatment process that leads to potential harm to the patient. This is not so much important, but I just added so that people are aware of what is falsified medicinal product. This relates to any medicinal product with a false representation of its identity, including its packaging and labeling, its name or its composition, as regards any of the ingredients including excipients and the strength of those ingredients, its source including its manufacturer, its country of manufacturing, its country of origin, or its marketing authorization holders, or its history including the records and documents relating to the distribution channels used. This definition does not include unintentional quality defects and is without prejudice to infringements of intellectual property rights. This is just for your knowledge. These were the terms and terminologies which are used. Now let's see drug safety concepts. A little bit information about seriousness. Medical judgment should be exercised in deciding whether other situations should be considered serious. Some medical events may jeopardize the patients or may require an intervention to prevent one of the above characteristics or consequences. Such important medical events should be considered serious. The Materiovigilance expert working group has coordinated the development of an important medical event terms list based on the Medical Dictionary of Regulatory Authorities, that is MEDRA. This IME list aims to facilitate the classification of suspected adverse reactions, the analysis of aggregated data, and the assessment of ICSRs in the framework of the day-to-day pharmacovigilance activities. Causality. In accordance with the ICH E2A guideline, the definition of an adverse reaction implies at least a reasonable possibility of a causal relationship between a suspected medicinal product and an adverse event. An adverse reaction, in contrast to an adverse event, is characterized by the fact that a causal relationship between a medicinal product and an occurrence is suspected. As I told you before, the reaction suggests that there is a possibility or probability that it is related to the medicinal product. Method for assigning probability of causation to a suspected adverse drug reaction. If an event is spontaneously reported, even if the relationship is unknown or unstated, it meets the definition of an adverse reaction. Therefore, all spontaneous reports notified by healthcare professional or consumers are considered suspected adverse reactions since they convey the suspicion of the primary sources unless the reporter specifically state that they believe the events to be unrelated or that a causal relationship can be excluded. So this is very important for experienced people whenever you are attending interview. All the spontaneously reported events, they are, if the relationship is unknown, it is directly taken as related. So this is a very important question usually asked in the interview. That is why I spoke very slowly. So this is very important. So please keep in mind, if an event is spontaneously reported and even if the relationship is unknown or unstated, it meets the definition of an adverse reaction, that you automatically consider that as related to the drug. Very important, most commonly asked question in the interview. What is Dechallenge and Rechallenge? Dechallenge is the clinical decision to withdraw or discontinue a drug to monitor the effect of an adverse event. Rechallenge is the point at which a drug is given again to a patient after its previous withdrawal. So now we can imagine a scenario where a patient has been admitted to the hospital with some complaint, if he says chest pain or if he says fever. So first what we will do is we want to assess the causality. So we will withdraw the drug, study drug, and see if the fever is still continuing or not. If the moment the fever stops, that means Dechallenge is positive. So now we want to know whether it is because of the drug or not. So again we administer the drug, and if the fever comes again, then it is positive Rechallenge. So we have positive Dechallenge and negative Dechallenge. We have positive Rechallenge and negative Rechallenge. I don't want you to get confused with these terms. So anyway, you will be given the training, on the job training in the companies or the organization. That time it will be very clear. Just understand that the study drug will be withdrawn and it will be re-administered. That is called Dechallenge and Rechallenge, just to see whether this is the reason why there is an adverse event or not. Let's look at CCDS and CCSI, very important, usually asked in the interview. Company core data sheet. So the CCDS is a document that reflects the full company's knowledge and data evaluation for a medicinal product. The company core safety information, that is CCSI, is the safety information contained in the CCDS. The CCSI is generally used in all countries where the company markets the medicinal product and is the reference information used to determine listed and unlisted events for the purpose of periodic reporting for marketed products. So as I told you, we have some kind of reference safety information that can be our CCDS or CCSI. So whatever the information is contained in the CCDS will be CCSI. For medicinal product, a document prepared by marketing authorization holders containing, in addition to safety information, material related to indication, dosing, pharmacology and other information concerning the product. This is a document, legal document. Coming to the important investigators brochure, we commonly abbreviate it as IB. The IB is a compilation of all the clinical and non-clinical data on the investigational product that are relevant to the study of the products in human subjects. The IB provides the investigators and others involved in the trial with the information to facilitate their understanding of the rationale for and their compliance with many key features of the protocol, such as the dose frequency or interval, methods of administration, and safety monitoring procedures. The IB also provides insight to support the clinical management of the study subjects during the course of the clinical trial. For investigational products not yet authorized, the IB serves as the CCDS. So IB is used during the clinical trial during the investigational time, and CCDS and CCSI is after the product is authorized. In the US, we have US package insert, that is USPI. Similarly, we have summary of product characteristics, that is SmPC. The SmPC is a legal document approved as part of marketing authorization of a medicinal product in the European Union. The SmPC is the basis of information for the healthcare professional on how to use the medicine. Its information is updated throughout the life cycle of the product as new data emerge. The SmPC is the reference information used to determine expected or unexpected status of events for marketed products for the purpose of expedited reporting. I told you before about expectedness and unexpectedness. If all the events, whatever is listed in this SmPC document, then it will be a listed event or expected event. If it is not listed, then it will be an unlisted or the unexpected event. So we have completed all the terms and terminologies. I have made one slide for interview questions. What is pharmacovigilance? What is an AE? Can you explain ADR? How do you assess the seriousness criteria? You have to list those 5 criteria. What is a causality, dechallenge and rechallenge? What is a SUSAR? What is an abuse, misuse and off-label use? What is an overdose and medication error? What is a CCDS and CCSI? What is an IB and SmPC? So these are very simple questions. If you have not understood, please go back and watch the video again. All are very easy to understand. Only thing is you need to remember it at the time of interview. Many of them are not aware that I provide the advanced training programs on the aggregate reports or the periodic reports. This is the details. Here are the details of the reports: DSUR, PSUR, PBRER, signal detection and management, as well as RMP and medical literature monitoring or literature surveillance. If you or your friends or colleagues are interested to attend a session, they can register by logging onto your website www.globalplacosolutions.com. Under contact us, there is a registration option, and once you register, you will receive all the details about our upcoming training sessions by email. I hope that the video was informative and helpful, and I hope that it will guide freshers and successfully crack the interviews. Please like, subscribe and share this video with your friends and colleagues, and thank you very much for watching.